It's your boy Spank Dog, aka Pufferstein at YouTube. Like, comment, share, subscribe. You already know. BC Spank Dog at Instagram. Let's get right into it. Ain't no future in front. Ain't no half stepping. Let's get it. There is something very strange going on in the sky. Do you hear it? It's shaking my house. Sounds like trumpets or giants. Are we going to war? June 18th, 2025. You could hear it. I hear it. You know, there's a lot of stuff being shown to us on social media, and all of us, pretty much all of us, don't know if it's valid or if people are trying to just get money with videos. To be honest with you, it's too out of hand because you got probably 1 million people talking about they've seen aliens. They all look sincere. They don't look like they're acting. If they're acting, they deserve Academy Awards. I'm just saying this now before the video starts because you're about to see a whole bunch of stuff that might boggle your mind and you're wondering if this is something that's official. But I know now that a lot of people feel like something's coming. Now, I'm not saying that that's true, but I'm not saying it's not true neither. Sounds crazy.
So people in multiple spots in New York, not all over New York, but in certain locations, have been hearing this very strange sound, and
I didn't even know it was in my state.
When I see something like this, when I hear something like this, I can't help but think that it's coming from below.
So is this normal to us, New York? Is this normal? This is normal weather, you mean? So we get this 10 days straight? This is normal. This is so abnormal. All night, all day, you can't see anything in front of you. Everything is completely fogged out. It kind of looks like we're at war in the United States, don't it?
I'm close to Brooklyn. I mean, close, like I walk 5 blocks that way and I'm in Brooklyn. But Brooklyn's humongous. Even though I could walk 5 blocks towards that way and I'll be in Bushwick, which is Brooklyn, he could be in a part of Brooklyn that you got to drive an hour to get to.
Kind of looks like what Israel looks like, you know, in the daytime and at night. I wonder what they're doing to us now, don't you? I think we should start questioning this. I think everybody on TikTok needs to question what's going on with this weather and why it looks like this, because
I don't trust what's going on neither. You know, I watched Leave the World Behind the other day, the movie on Netflix, and they were saying that there's a lot of clues in there. The plane crashes. You can get a disease from getting bit by a bug. Between airborne illnesses transmitted from person to person and illnesses being given to people by insects, you got to be careful. You get bit by a tick, that's a problem. In the movie Leave the World Behind, I had seen it before, but I've heard they drop hints because after they made the movie, the things started happening with the airplanes. So I'm like, let me watch it again. And I had just heard recently about diseases transmitted by insects and how the coronavirus has mutated again. And there's a new symptom where you get a cough that feels like a razor blade is in your throat, they said. So I go and watch Leave the World Behind, and I didn't remember that the kid gets bit by a little tick. I don't know if that's a tick that gets stuck to his ankle, but you see, if you see him leave the world behind, the insect gets stuck on his ankle and he smacks it off, and then later his teeth start to fall out. It's crazy when you gotta make sure a little insect, not only do you see it, you gotta make sure it don't bite you. And you want your government to keep you informed, but it's like, if there's something going on, I can't trust that the government's gonna give us the true lowdown.
we've never had weather like this during the summertime. I mean, come on now.
Guys, this freaking fog that we're having is super strange.
South
Like,
Jersey.
I can't even explain this fog, you guys. I understand that in Jersey, like South Jersey's been like raining. It's been kind of shitty, you guys, to be honest with you. But this fog is definitely something that's super weird. I'm not gonna lie. When I have like a big feeling, so what I do is I close like all the windows, um, because I have a feeling like this fog, there's something in it. I can't even explain it. And I think it's making us very tired and very like not depressed, but feeling kind of weird about like things. But yeah, I wanted to share that with you guys. I don't know if you're in your cities, you're actually seeing the fog yourself. Let
Wow.
me know, but it is super strange, you guys. It doesn't feel right. It just doesn't, to be honest. All right, I love you guys and talk to you soon. Bye.
That video was from Yaz Divine Messenger 144, and
That's gangster too. She said, I love you guys. You know, it's y'all people gotta stop being scared to say I love you, man. We should all love each other. You know, people are like, oh, that's a strong term. You can't just use it on anybody. Why not? What's wrong with loving humanity? People are wild, bro. Let me tell you something too, and I don't bring this up like to act tough or nothing like this. I'm a thumper. I don't play. I don't play no games. But I still, even though I got, I got some cojones. You know what I'm saying? I don't see nothing wrong with people telling each other that they got love for each other and stuff like that. Don't let nobody tell you that that's too strong a word to tell somebody, especially somebody that needs to hear it.
these people in this location that are commenting on her video, they're also saying something's very off. There are people saying it's been nonstop fog. They haven't seen the sun, nonstop rain. This individual said, you should see what my rain gauge caught. The rain was red, no telling what they put in the air. We are in South Jersey, and yes, something is off. It's not giving summer or natural. I'm in Pennsylvania and feel the same. Something is weird. So multiple people.
You see, she said red rain, you know what I mean? Like, there was no red rain where I was at, but that don't mean that I don't believe where she was at she actually seen red rain. That's scary. If I put my hand out and the droplets were red, I would freak out.
People around the tri-state area, they are just noticing and hearing very strange things, and the weather has been very off. But while that is happening in the tri-state area, people in other locations are seeing very strange things in the skies. This was caught over in Canada on June 18th.
What is that? It looks like one of those things with tentacles, but you can't see. They have those octopus things that they show flying in the air. I don't know if that's one of them. They have white ones and black ones. At first it was only one color, but now they showed that there's another color. There's two different versions of the flying octopuses.
These next two videos come from the paranormal chick, and what is this that fell out of the skies above Indianapolis?
Something weird happened overnight. What appears to be this gigantic concrete ball literally fell out of the sky, landed on a street in a neighborhood in Indianapolis. And luckily, it didn't hit anyone. It didn't damage cars, houses, nothing. It landed on the street. But the question remains is,
shout out to the paranormal chick.
Where did this come from and whose is it? It's definitely man-made. But what was it doing in the sky? It almost makes you question a lot. And it really does make you question a lot of our conspiracy theories that are out there. Take a look at this, comment below, and if this was in your neighborhood, let us know what happened.
It's not me. They got a big giant alien ball on a truck. Well, they said that it looks like it's made by humans, so our government's wilding right now.
I have absolutely no idea what this could be, but what I don't understand is if this did indeed fall out of the sky, and some residents are saying that it did, it looks like it took no damage whatsoever. Some are suggesting that this could be even some type of satellite, but again, we would see some type of explosion or some type of wreckage, but then again, we don't know what this piece may have been connecting to.
That ain't no satellite.
Following footage was captured around June 14th, 2025 in Bridgeport, West Virginia, and it was by a man named Drew. They captured something that they can't explain or identify. And honestly,
now, don't think that the governments don't have technology that we don't know about. If that's not the government's doings right there, then what is it?
this is a different kind of footage. It's definitely a UFO, but what is it doing is the question. His friend did say maybe it was a cell tower. but he shows you where the cell towers are behind him. This is not a cell tower. This is something else. And it's almost like recharging in the air. Take a look at this footage. Comment below. Tell me what you think.
Crazy. Tell me what you think it is. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Your boy Puff the Sign, aka Spankboy. Let's say you in your heart was like, that's not from the government. That means you really think it's a UFO or something like that. I would be tripping. Got the ill angle. Crazy. And you and other people don't have the money to pull off a hoax like this. You understand what I'm saying? So it's either the government or extraterrestrial, in my opinion. You know, they're saying that the satellites, you know, they again in Leave the World Behind, I was watching, and again it happened. It wasn't just the insect bite. He says something in Leave the World Behind where he says that the satellites up top are connected to the satellites down below.
To me, anyway, it looks like three smaller objects making some kind of formation or making a much larger object. And it kind of reminds me what was seen during the MH370 video, where those three orbs were circling the plane. Definitely some very good video footage. This could definitely be a drone, but we also have to remember just because it's a drone doesn't necessarily mean it belongs to members of the public. This next segment will actually play into the following segment because around 3:30 p.m. yesterday, people had noticed that during a severe storm, a bright, fast-moving object blazed across DC's radar. People are saying that this is not lightning, this is not a plane, this is a clean surgical streak across the sky, and it's not showing up on any flight trackers. Carrie Lake, Trump's senior media advisor and former journalist, pulled it straight from live radar and posted it herself. She was quoted as saying, "Anyone know what is shooting across the radar over DC?" But this was not the only odd thing seen on weather radar. This was also captured over in Florida.
This is huge. This is a massive story. Record this, download this. This is a potentially dangerous story for me to share, but you need to see this because we
she breaks it down.
need answers. I am happy, healthy, and not prone to accidents, just saying. For context, I do a radar and satellite review show on my website every single day. So when I tell you this is freaking weird, I know what freaking weird is. As I was reviewing radar data, I spotted an anomaly in Florida. It appears that a wave was emanating from each tower, which was subsequently pushing the cloud cover and precipitation outward. That alone shouldn't happen. The mainstream narrative is that these towers only track systems, but here we have clouds and rain being moved in a perfect circular outward fashion at the exact same speeds near each tower. And look at this area. When the clouds collide in the middle between two separate waves from two separate towers.
But it seems like there are more natural disasters happening in the present. Now, not only that, the other day in New York City, out of nowhere, thunderstorms hit. But I mean, they hit. Like, me and my lady were looking out the backyard window and the trees were leaning. I do believe that it's more frequent and more extreme in the present.
Then as I looked along the Gulf coastline, this is where things got even more crazy. All the towers along the coastline are doing the exact same thing at the exact same times. Texas, Louisiana. I mean, look at Louisiana. The wave is emanating outward to the point where the clouds and precipitation spreads out equally in all directions and is then eliminated. In fact, even more strange is at every area of precipitation near the towers along the Gulf and Atlantic coastline disappears simultaneously. And that's not even the craziest freaking part. The craziest freaking part is the time code for when these waves occurred, about 1940 UTC. These areas felt seismic activity. The local news reported it as an earthquake at a 3.1 magnitude.
An earthquake that moves clouds. That don't even make sense.
At about 2:41 this afternoon, apparently there was an earthquake out about 10 miles deep in the Gulf, 70 miles south of Gulf Shores.
A rare event in this area. You heard me right. The moment we saw these waves around these towers, they reported that there was an earthquake. Here's the thing, though. Earthquakes don't impact the atmosphere. It can't move clouds. It certainly wouldn't move clouds in perfect circular waves emitting outward from each and every tower along the entire Gulf coastline up to the Carolinas on the Atlantic coast. And
I remember Jesse the Body Ventura had that conspiracy show on Court TV. He does an episode on the government's having weather machines.
Still trying to figure out, is this emanating from the towers themselves? Or is there something working with them in the ocean? So I looked a little further to see what I could find in the cloud cover in the Gulf around the time of the supposed earthquake. And I found this. What is moving these clouds out there like that? What are you guys doing?
That great video comes from Ariana Masters, and they keep telling us over and over again how
big shout out to Ariana Masters.
Extreme weather will be our new normal. And not just that, they're also saying how the 2025 hurricane season will be one of the worst in history. And we may also see something along the lines of a Category 6 hurricane.
Wow.
And I guess so, the way they keep poking, prodding, and manipulating nature. And they are finding more and more advanced ways to manipulate it. This next story is not only creepy, but it's downright disturbing. Now, I don't know if any of you all have already heard about what's going on over in Ireland, where they found over 800 babies inside a septic tank. This church back in I believe it was the 1950s to the 60s, if not earlier than that, it housed unwed women, pregnant women, and so forth. News and media, the way they're presenting the story, and we don't know what to really believe here because we do know that things like the underground tunnels exist, but news and media, they are saying that a lot of these babies and children, they passed away from disease and they were malnourished. This lady researching this, she finds that all these children passed away, but she could only find the graves of 2 children. So the question happened to be, where are the rest of the babies and the children that passed away? Come to find out. And again, what news and media are saying is that the babies, they were all buried in a septic tank, over 800. While I was researching that story, I came across this news story of what this man found in his freezer. And again, this story is very disturbing.
Lived in this apartment for years, and recently he moved in to help her when she got sick. About a week ago, she passed away, and that's when he started going through her things. But during that time, he came across something that he didn't want to find.
So I was just blown away.
There's a lot on Adam Smith's plate right now. He's not only packing up his life, he's also dealing with the death of his mom, Barbara.
Diagnosed with small cell lung cancer.
Smith recently moved into her South St. Louis apartment to help her while she was sick. And after she passed away last week, Smith started rummaging through her stuff.
And I was trying to figure out what I'm going to take and what I'm not.
As he was shuffling through the freezer to see what to keep or toss, he saw a box.
I'm 37, and it has been in my freezer for 37 years. And I was always told it was like a wedding cake top.
His curiosity took over. Smith thought in that box there could be that wedding cake top, or there could even be money.
I pulled it out and I set it directly right here. I grabbed this knife exactly right here, and I just cut through the plastic and opened it up.
But what his eyes saw was something he was not expecting.
And it turns out it was a baby.
The frozen baby was wrapped in a pink fleece.
It still had skin, hair, and everything. It was mummified. After that, I just freaked out. I put it back into the box, and I called police right away.
Smith tells us that he never thought to look in that box before.
I've asked her several times. It was either a no conversation. She blew me off. My mom has always been so secretive about things throughout life.
Smith started to realize that his mom mentioned before about his sibling passing away before he was born.
We're saying, 46, 47? That's how long? I assume it's my sister. Has been in a box in a freezer for this long.
as Shaken Up Smith is disturbed after unveiling a chilling secret that's been tucked away for years.
If your child passes away, I don't even know what to say with that. That's the type of stuff that gets me.
Finding this, I'm more like confused, angry, and I just want to find closure. I want to know more answers.
Britney Spears' previous home was supposedly so haunted that she had to leave. Then another celebrity moved into it and mysteriously passed away. On an episode of the podcast called We Need to Talk About Britney, Britney's former makeup artist joined the conversation. She said that while Britney was living in this house, she had some type of spiritual transformation and invited someone over who claimed to be a spiritual healer. But after this supposed spiritual healer left, something didn't feel right to her. Britney told her former makeup artist that she thought the spiritual healer may have opened some type of portal, and she claimed that there were evil spirits inside of the house trying to harm her by doing things like pushing her down the stairs. The entire situation must have scared Britney pretty badly because she left the home immediately and never returned. She then sold the house and everything inside of it to Brittany Murphy. And as many of you might already know, Brittany Murphy died in that house under very suspicious circumstances. Her husband Simon also died 5 months after her in the same room. After Britney's
Something ain't right with that. You know what I'm saying? Like, that just don't. I'm not even talking about the fact that Britney sold the house because she felt like it was cursed. I'm talking about Brittany Murphy and her husband, you know, both passing like that. Something happened there, in my opinion.
death, Simon gave an interview stating that his wife tried to avoid the house at all costs. He said that he felt that maybe the property was unlucky, and he planned to move his wife and his mother to New York City, where they intended to start a family. Then, after Simon's death, his mother was quoted saying, "All I know is that before Simon's death, he was having hallucinations that things were crawling out of his skin." Take a listen and let me know what you think.
She swears to God that they're like he opened some spirit portal or something, and these bad spirits had come in, and it was like a male and a female, and they were trying to like push her down the stairs or something crazy. It was so bad that she left. She went to the Casa del Mar hotel to stay there and never went back to the house again. She put her house on the market, and guess who bought that house?
Who?
And died in it. Brittany Murphy.
That video was from Oddities on Elm Street, and I didn't know that Brittany Murphy passed away in the same home that Britney Spears found to be haunted, and she had to leave. I always found what happened to Brittany Murphy and her husband to be very suspicious, but this adds an extra layer of suspicion to it. But I guess whatever was in the home was coming after a Brittany regardless.
Just found the weirdest thing I've ever found on Google Earth. I don't know if everybody knows about this, and I just live under a rock. I like to just randomly look through Google Earth, and this is not my first time. I don't ever remember seeing this. Can someone else tell me? The Bermuda Triangle right here. Is there supposed to be a literal eye there?
But for people who don't know, the Bermuda Triangle is like supposed to be this patch of water where if you fly over it, you take your ship there, anything, there's a chance a disaster will happen. The Bermuda Triangle is known for swallowing things up.
I mean, does this not literally look like an eye inside of the Bermuda Triangle? Like, you guys can see it too,
Let's
right?
see.
Has this always been there? Like, is it just me?
Now, I'm not saying that's an eye because our minds can definitely play tricks on us, but it definitely does look like one. And what's even more interesting is that this is the Bermuda Triangle we're talking about, where a lot of strange things do indeed happen. And if you do take a closer look, it does look like this eye is around a star or a pen. That's a very good catch by K-Podge.
It's you. Say it. What is it? Grand Central. What is it? Here's a picture to remind you. What is this called? Is this called Grand Central Station? Or is it called Grand Central Terminal? It's actually called Grand Central Terminal.
Let's hear what he got to say. Maybe he's on some, like, you know, it is like a solid Mandela effect type thing.
That changed for me. It has always been Grand Central Station. I don't know when that changed, but apparently it is Grand Central Terminal. New York, only in New York. When did that? Speaking of New York, let's do one more thing in New York. Where is the Statue of Liberty located? Where is the Statue of Liberty located? Come on, this is America. We all should know this. Where is Lady Liberty located? Is it Liberty Island or is it Ellis Island? A lot of people thought that it was Ellis Island, including myself. In my timeline, it was Ellis Island. But apparently, it is Liberty Island. Yes, Lady Liberty is on Liberty Island, even though in some pictures, it kind of contradicts itself. And it looks like it's actually on Ellis Island, but it's actually on Liberty Island. When did that change?
I've always known it as Ellis Island too. I never known it as Lady Liberty Island.
But here's the ticker. Here is a 1985 coin. And what does that coin say? This is an actual coin of the Statue of Liberty. And what does that say? It says Ellis Island.
Can't argue with that. That's from the mint. That's government 100%. They are calling it Ellis Island themselves. So how now it's Lady Liberty Island?
New York, what's going on? Let me know if you remember. I
always felt like the location of the Statue of Liberty seems to flip-flop. First, it's on Liberty Island, then it's on Ellis Island, and then it's back on Liberty Island, which is kind of weird because I do remember there was a Mandela effect, how people were saying the Statue of Liberty shouldn't be on Ellis Island. It should be on Liberty Island. That's why it's called Liberty Island. Yet for whatever reason, it was on Ellis Island. The whole thing's just very bizarre.
Ever had a nose ring? There is a brand new Mandela effect. And it's whether the Laughing Cow has ever had a gold nose ring or not. But on my last video, even the Laughing Cow replied, we've never had a nose ring. But if you look on the comments on that same video, yes, she did. Yep. Yes. Yes. I remember the nose ring. Yes, I remember a nose ring. So I'm like, maybe we're just confusing it with the Chicago Bulls logo. But sorry to disappoint, there is no gold nose ring, which I really thought there was. So we could probably do a whole video on that. And I know marketing stuff changes all the time. So I went over to Google. Did the Laughing Cow ever have a nose ring? No, the Laughing Cow cheese, as portrayed in his branding, has never had a nose ring. And if you go over to their page, somebody else asked, yes, you had a nose ring. Don't play with me. But even in their corporate offices, there's no nose ring on that image. Can't tell if the internet is gaslighting us or if we're gaslighting them at this point. Yeah. I mean, I know this is all in good fun, but why does everybody remember the nose ring? Like everybody. Is there some other brand we're remembering, or is this an actual Mandela effect?
This is another bizarre Mandela effect to me, but when it comes to the Chicago Bulls, I do not remember the Chicago Bulls logo having a nose ring, but when it comes to the Laughing Cow, I can definitely vividly remember the Laughing Cow having a golden nose ring. But I do want to hear from you all. Do you all remember the same thing when it comes to the Laughing Cow logo?
I couldn't tell you about that. I don't mess with creamy Swiss. So I've never purchased a Laughing Cow product in my life.
I saw something in Lake Superior. They're like scanning some part of the lake, and they literally found these giant monolith stones that were erected very similar to Stonehenge in Lake Superior.
Oh, no way.
With ancient carvings on them.
Oh, cool.
Recently? That's crazy. Yeah, there's like, because you know, the Great Lakes filled up because of the last ice age. So the glaciers that melted made those lakes.
Wow. It's crazy you bring up Lake Superior because that's where Old Whitey is. Lake Superior is freezing, but for some reason people still dive up there. And so there's a ship that sunk, and it's a rite of passage there. There's an old man who was wearing a cork vest. He's stuck in the hull of a sunken ship, and it's a diver's rite of passage to approach Old Whitey and you shake his hand.
Ew. That is so barbarian. Get him out.
It's like One-Eyed Willie from the Goonies.
Yeah. Literally, he just floats in the
That's a good comparison.
hole.
Old Whitey wanted to be buried at sea. I've always wanted to be buried at sea.
Leave me with the ship.
I guess it's really
Shake my hand. Lay me with me, darling. Shake my hand. I'm Old Whitey.
Dude, imagine it.
I'm Old Whitey.
I saw something in...
There is definitely something odd beneath the Great Lakes, more specifically Lake Superior, and I still wonder sometimes what that ship had ran into to cause it to take on water. We still never had any answers to that event.
Probably going to get a weird feeling in your body when you watch this documentary, but you're also going to learn a lot, especially about the company that was behind this whole concert, which was Live Nation. Before it even started, this whole disaster of Astro...
All right, this is the Travis Scott concert, I believe. They have a Netflix documentary if you want to go check that out. I've seen images of the concert, and you see like these phantom spirits. It looks like dark energy is been created for them to come through, and then the astral world disaster happens. Now, I don't know if he's going to talk about the spirits flying around, but something tells me he is.
The world was predictable, and Live Nation was sending texts saying there's no way we can fit 50,000 people in this concert. And staff were texting during the concert saying people are passing out. People are unconscious. Full-on panic is in people's eyes, and yet they didn't stop the show. Literally acknowledged that someone could lose their life in this situation, which many people tragically did. I mean, there are disturbing scenes of people doing CPR in the crowd, and in the background, Travis Scott is just full-on performing, and they never whispered in his earpiece, which they could have, to stop the show. The documentary explains how their crowd setup basically became a trap because people were coming in from the sides to see the show, and then once the music started, people got boxed in by the crowd barriers, and there was almost no way for them to get out. Some of the workers on the documentary said they were even told to play into the whole chaos. The promo videos literally showed people jumping over fences to get in, and that's exactly what happened. Now, the documentary doesn't cover this, but I think there's something way deeper, and it's the symbolism behind the whole concert. If you've been following me, you've probably seen the videos already, but the stage in itself was shaped as an upside down cross, and behind that was a portal, and the portal says the escape plan, which is ironic because people were literally finding out ways to escape. It also said things like see you on—
Yeah, something wasn't right about that concert. I'm not really the kind of person that jumps on the bandwagon when it comes to seeing ghosts or aliens, but something about what happened that day, I'm like, I don't know if they doctored it or whatever, but there's overhead footage of the concert. It looks like there's spirits flying over the crowd. The way everything went, even now that he's breaking it down further, because this is stuff I didn't know about. You know, when he talks about the escape plan right there and what he's about to say, this I didn't know.
On the other side, they're coming out as little red devils. There's just way too many red flags, and you can go watch some of my old videos if you want to go see all the symbolism, because there's a lot more. But the worst part of it all is that no one was criminally charged, and it felt like no one was held responsible for this. And then Travis Scott went on to break records in 2024, selling out one of the highest grossing tours of all time, and it was produced by Live Nation.
So people are talking about Astro World again because of this documentary that came out, but all those people that lost their lives at that concert were a sacrifice. Let us also not forget all those shadows that were jumping through the crowd, and what really stood out to me was how Travis Scott, he looked like he was in some kind of trance as the bodies were being lifted up. Just a horrific, evil concert.
I think nothing will truly disturb you or keep you up at night. I dare you to look up how many people have gone missing from Nome, Alaska. Because from 1960 to 2004 alone, 24 people disappeared from this remote, isolated town, and it is terrifying. That's what happened to Joseph Balderas and Florence Okpialuk, who disappeared within 4 years of each other in Nome. Residents in the town are on edge because of these mysterious disappearances that just keep happening, and the majority of them are still unsolved. So let's talk about it. This disturbing reality was brought to my awareness after listening to the Up and Vanished podcast, where the host, Hayden Lindsay, actually traveled to Nome to investigate the disappearances of Joseph and Florence. Their new season sheds light on how both of them seemingly vanished into thin air. Let's start with Joseph. Joseph moved to Nome in 2014 and quickly fell in love with the little town. He was a law clerk with Nome's 2nd District Court. He was described as incredibly smart, kind, and was good at pretty much everything he did. He was about to move to Juneau with his fiancée, and overall life just seemed really great for them. That is until June of 2016. Joseph was last seen on June 24th, 2016, but he very mysteriously disappeared after this, and what followed has never been explained. 3 days came and went with no sign of Joseph. His fiancée wasn't able to get a hold of him, and he no-called, no-showed work, which was extremely out of character for him. So one of his colleagues reported him missing, and a massive search was launched. That very same day, police found his abandoned truck at mile 44 of the Nome Council Highway. It was unlocked, and inside was his backpack that contained fishing supplies, waders, and boots, but Joseph was nowhere to be found. Police assumed that he was just in the area hiking or running, but it would soon be clear that something horrible happened to him. Police, along with search and rescue and the U.S. Coast Guard, scoured the area for Joseph, but found nothing, and it was like he vanished into thin air. The search for Joseph was called off after just 9 days after finding no evidence of what happened to him. Police are not ruling out foul play, and there are some theories as to what could have happened, but to this day, Joseph and the truth remain missing. It didn't take long for tragedy to strike Nome again, because just 4 years later, another person would go missing under mysterious circumstances. Florence Okpialuk was 33 years old when she disappeared from Nome on August 31st, 2020. Florence was a native of Wheels, Alaska, but had moved to Nome in 2013. Similar to Joseph, she was last seen leaving a tent on West Beach at around 4 p.m. that day. And after this, she vanished into thin air. A massive search for her was conducted as well, which involved Nome police, the FBI, and the U.S. Coast Guard. But the only thing ever found was Florence's shoes, socks, and jacket. And just like Joseph, to this day, Florence remains missing. So I heard about this disturbing mystery after listening to the podcast Up and Vanished. I don't know if any of you listen to this podcast, but the host, Payne Lindsay, is so incredibly talented. This isn't just a typical true crime podcast, because Payne and his team have spent years working together and traveling to different places like Nome to get on-the-ground coverage, which is pretty rare for a podcast.
You know, she's a good commentator. I like the way she brought up the fact that the person she watched the story on is a great talent. You know, what you see there is, instead of a content creator not wanting you to know about the person they got the story from, you actually see her talk about how great the podcaster is.
He is extremely hands-on, and his approach is boots-on-the-ground investigative journalism, which I love. His new season already has 2 parts that are up and ready to listen to, and I highly suggest you all go listen to this. It's insane what he's able to uncover by simply going to these places and investigating, especially since these cases have stalled. So he's really picking up where the police have left off, directly working with the victims' families to get justice for their loved one.
It puts pressure on law enforcement to go see what's going on, because he's bringing attention to the case again.
You can listen to Up and Vanished on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. But I'm curious to know what you guys think is really happening in Nome, Alaska.
As most of you already know by now, I have been following this content creator, Shiloh Hill, who bought a pair of bloody boots off the dark web. These pair of boots, whether it's boots, shoes, what
I remember this. I seen this on an earlier episode. He bought boots on the dark web that were bloody. You know, some people are really into this true crime stuff to the point where they'll, you know, go on the dark web and see if they're buying something that was part of a crime.
They have a name and an age attached to them. So this has been the most recent update in regards to all this.
So if you've been following the saga of the shoes that were purchased off the dark web by Shiloh of the WWE, there is another chapter. As you know, he took a heel off one of the shoes and found a tracking chip. He's since gotten a burner phone. This is the burner phone that he purchased. What he wants to do is take the chip that was in the tracking device and put it into the burner phone to see what it's been tracking. Here is a look at what he found out.
I got pretty much the cheapest unlocked phone that I could get. I'm hoping that this thing has some type of like browser on it, but by the looks of it, that might be kind of unlikely. Let's see if we got some charge in this battery. Here we go. At least if I don't learn anything about the SIM card, I can start trapping. Okay, let's see what we got. Ooh, 4G LTE, let's go. Okay, let's see if this thing is a phone number. Calling myself. Okay. Oh, call ended. Okay, failed. See what this browser's talking about. Okay. Ooh, we have internet. Okay, the cell carrier is. Now it's saying AT&T up there, up in the top left. Okay, this is interesting. City Naperville, region Illinois, Belgacom. That's really weird. All these things are giving me drastically different locations.
So basically, putting the SIM card into the cell phone didn't do the trick.
Regardless, though, the SIM card is definitely functional in terms of cellular data, which means we got to plug into this thing and see what it was sending. So I ordered a USB to serial converter, and it should be here tomorrow.
So now you know there'll be a part 5 as to what this chip was tracking. But on another note, he did go back to the website to see if any other shoes were added. Here's the result. Take a look. I freeze framed it for you. It says Onion site has disconnected. Could that be because he found the tracking device and he is going to track the people that are tracking him?
All right, so I ordered some boots off the dark web and they had this little GPS tracker in them. I figured out that the tracker was trying to send my location to a phone number. And so today on my live stream, I called it. I know what you did. And if you have this number. So it's hella seductive.
At the tone, please record your message. When you've finished recording, you may hang up or press 1 for
What?
more options.
I don't know. I know bro's probably trying to be scary, but that sounds like so like why is he moaning into the phone? So I said this one back. Oh, I'm coming for you. I know who you are and what you did, and I'm gonna pay that price.
If you're satisfied with the message,
And we're gonna see where this goes.
All right. First of all, let me hit my homie with that like. Yeah, man, that's wild, man. That's some wild stuff right there. You know, if that's not intriguing, you know, especially the boot part of the video, you know, and he's laughing like the guy's over here, like, I know who you are. I'm gonna get you. You know, and he's over here laughing at him, and I'm not mad at him. You know, I wouldn't be scared. We ain't coming after who? That's my apartment's the wrong house to roll up to. You know what I'm saying? You know, don't you don't wanna go to certain people's houses. They waiting for you. You know what I'm saying? You know, that's for all them weirdos out there that think that they could just run up on people and that they don't got something for them. That's some creepy shit. It is what it is, man. I'll keep you updated. I was going through some stuff. You know, first of all, I'm a real serious card collector. You know, people don't understand. I let them think that it's some sort of childish hobby or whatever. But during the playoffs, I had a lot of work to do. And I had to lock in on the sports collectible side of things for a second, so you weren't getting as many commentaries from me. Listen, man, it's your boy Spank Dog. I'm out of here. You know, God bless all you guys. Much love. And like, comment, share, subscribe, man. Peace.